Okay, everyone. So I want to talk about something that is really wildly controversial and uh, not somewhat, very damaging within the autistic spaces. And it's functioning labels, high and low functioning labels. And for a long time, when I first learned that I was autistic, that was how people described me. They would say, "Oh, you're autistic, but you're so high functioning," almost as if it was like separation from the autism of like, you do so much, you create so much, you produce so much, you're so high functioning, like that it offsets the fact that you're autistic, or it like diminishes or minimizes the fact that you're autistic and the struggles that you have. And we know functioning labels are problematic in general, right? Like, I think that needs to be said and stated over and over and over again. Because when we're talking about high versus low functioning, we are reducing people to functionality in terms of what they can and cannot produce or what they can and cannot do. But we're not looking at it from the lens of what types of supports do they need in order to function best in their life. And if we are always looking at this through like a capitalist, ableist lens, which we are because we live in a capitalist, ableist hellscape, reducing people to whether or not they are functional based on what they can or cannot produce and create and accomplish is really fucking unhealthy and really fucking unfair. A lot of people get grouped into this low functioning label by others when maybe they are non-speaking or minimally speaking. Maybe they're moderate or higher support needs autistic people. And then it's reduction of humanity when we're saying, well, they're low functioning because they have higher support needs or they're not speaking. And that's so ableist to reduce people to functionality based on what we consider typical. And from a neuronormative place, like we as society value speaking over non-speaking. We associate being able to speak as being intelligent or being able to participate more in society. And we devalue those who need communication device support, who are minimally speaking, who need technology in place, who need someone else to be supporting their communication. Sorry, I'm trying to find my own words while talking about communication. I really struggle with auditory processing, so I don't listen to like voicemails or voice memos very often unless I'm playing them on like 2 times speed or they have transcriptions that I can read. And I can tell sometimes my lack of desire to participate in like voice memo exchanges with friends and colleagues can be irritating to them if I'm typing everything out. It's like it slows down their process, you know? So if we only value spoken communication as like the highest form of communication, we are leaving so many people behind. And when we talk about functioning labels, high functioning, I think a lot of people wear that as like a badge of honor. I'm a high functioning autistic person. I don't refer to myself as that. I'm just naming that. I'm just speaking about it in third person right now. And when we're talking about being high functioning, we are not talking about the struggles. We are minimizing them. We are minimizing the disability. Words are hard today. Jesus. We are minimizing the disability. We are minimizing the impact. We are minimizing all of the areas that we need support. If you only view me as a vessel of information or as someone who is producing and creating projects and bringing things to life and accomplishing things, you are reducing me to my level of accomplishment. You don't see all of the supports that I put into place every single day. How much I fucking struggle to leave the house because it's either too hot, too loud, too overstimulating, because I'm in constant chronic pain and agony and have a hard time with physical movement at this point at 39 years old, from POTS, from EDS, from, my hypermobile body just breaking and bending and fucking things up all the time. From MCAS, mast cell activation, like my body basically attacking itself all the time. People don't get to see the levels of the autistic burnout that I experience, where despite what you see online of me traveling and hosting events and the quote unquote accomplishments or achievements, you don't see how often I spend time alone in the darkness of my own home, sensory soothing to the best of my ability, trying to work through the chronic pain and the chronic illness, trying to recover, which takes longer and longer and longer. Not having access to my special interests in those moments to bring me joy, because I'm so depleted and so burnt out and so overwhelmed that I start to lose access to my skills. I start to have autistic regression. I start to lose access to being able to speak. I start to become more and more selectively mute. I start to choose to shut down because I don't have any other option. If I go out in my world during those moments in life, I will have more meltdowns. And I try to refrain from having public meltdowns, not because of shamefulness. It's just I can't control it when it's happening, and it feels really vulnerable. And when it happens in public in the wrong spaces, it feels really overwhelming. So I shut down and it's all inward. And then I experience such bad sensory overwhelm. It feels like I've said this before, but this like exposed nerve ending that's just being shocked relentlessly everywhere I go. Whether it's from something being too loud, something happening unexpectedly, textures of things, temperatures, volume, taste, smell. Maybe I'm really struggling with interoceptive awareness that day, and I'm just struggling to pick up on my internal cues in my body. Maybe I'm just struggling enough to get out of bed and lay on the couch and brush my teeth and take a shower. Or my depression is so intense that it feels like I cannot get out of it. Or you're in a 2+ year burnout where you've had to start reducing everything in your life, demands included, and having to cancel obligations and workshops and trainings and retreats and speaking opportunities and collaborative projects that would bring you joy. But you just don't have the capacity. It's so diminished that you can't do anything but just exist. You can't access joy in those moments. I just go into such deep depression, and anxiety ramps up massively, as do my OCD symptoms. Nobody sees that shit, though, when you're looking at the outside without looking inwards. If all we're doing is saying, oh, Patrick's podcast came out again every Saturday for the last 5 years, like clockwork, or his email marketing is so good, or his social media content is always available, and you just see like, oh, he's hosting retreats in different countries or speaking opportunities and writing a book. If we only value what we can produce, then what the fuck are we doing this all for? Because it's certainly not human connection. It's certainly not fulfillment. If all I have to do is grind and hustle and do the next thing to survive, because that's what capitalism is, right? Like, I've got to pay my bills. I don't want to show up all the time. I don't want to grind. I don't want to create all the time as a creator. I want to be left the fuck alone. But being left the fuck alone doesn't pay the bills. And my mortgage has to get paid, and my student loans have to get paid, and my health insurance. Like, it's just not possible. So I have to pick and choose, and I have to decide which demands are worth the squeeze. What is the juice worth the squeeze in these situations? I have to almost go with a magnifying glass over everything in my life, every single week and every single day of yay or nay. Am I able to do this? Do I feel like I have the capacity? Do I have the spoons today to wake up and do this podcast interview? Do I have the energy to focus on the group practice that I'm running that employs people? It's so fucking hard. It's so fucking hard. All while trying to communicate with, all the different modes of communication, email, text, voice calls, video calls, is so overwhelming. And trying to respond in emails without sounding too rude or too blunt or too direct or right to the point, or telling someone, no, I don't want to jump on a quick call with you. I don't have it in me to do it. And when we start acknowledging all of the ways that you struggle as a low support needs autistic person, or what some of you may reference as high functioning autistic people, we are really disconnecting ourselves from humanity. We are really minimizing and reducing ourselves to what we can create and accomplish and produce. And we're only as good as our next production, our next creative venture, our next accomplishment. And if you scale back or zoom out or take a break or step away, you're now considered lazy and unmotivated, uninspired. You don't have any work ethic. You don't have any drive. You don't have any value. It all comes down to value in capitalism. What is this person able to do that is a value to society? And how can we monetize it? How can we make sure we can make money off of it? And that's why so many higher support needs and non-speaking autistic people are reduced to their value. And if you're looking at value in society as production and creativity and accomplishment, then it's easy to say, these people don't have any value. These people are too low functioning to have value. And that's what a lot of what's going on in like this current administration in the States of like preaching autism epidemic, right? From the Department of Health and Human Services, and building autism registries and talking about how autism is a horror show and how so many of these people are just suffering. And that's true. Like there's a lot of autistic people who are fucking suffering, but it's not because that they're autistic, regardless of support needs, regardless of level of autism. It's because society is not built to support autistic people. It's because society wants us to figure out all of these different accommodations and ways to change how we interact with the world. Not only in our professional lives, in our scholastic lives, in our social lives, in our healthcare systems. We have to bend but not break all the fucking time. We have to figure out all of these different ways to get through each day without disrupting my nervous system, without impacting my sensory system too much, without going into severe autistic burnout, without having social isolation, and inevitably without moving into active suicidality or increasing other co-occurring mental health experiences or physical ailments. It's fucking hard. And I'm saying this as someone with a lot of privilege. I'm a white guy with a master's degree who owns multiple businesses. I have a lot of privilege and I have a lot of fucking struggle. And I think that's something that we don't often realize, is that both can be true. And then I have to try really hard to think about what it's like to not look like me and to have these experiences, or to have higher support needs, to struggle more socially, to struggle more from the sense of communicating with, can I get a job? Can I drive a car? Can I participate in society? And some autistic people cannot, and they never will be able to. But that does not mean they have less value as humans. And I think that's something that we continue to just miss. We just do not understand that. If we're only looking at this through the lens of what do you bring to the table? What can you offer? What can you do? We are minimizing and dismissing an entire portion of humanity. We are reducing people to what they can create and produce, or how they can function in society on a daily basis. So we've got to move away from the high and low support, or Jesus Christ. That's not. We've got to move away from the high and low functioning labels. We've got to stop reducing people to what they bring to the table or how they can participate in a society that is comfortable for us without us having to change how we go through our day. And we've got to think about it from the area of what types of support does this person need to be successful, happy, content, a part of, to belong. That is the way we don't leave people behind. But when we reduce people to functionality and what they can and cannot do, or what they can and cannot produce or create, we're not looking at it as human beings anymore. So, if you're someone who's called high functioning, I encourage you to think about it more from the level of what type of support do I need? And to also zoom out a little bit and say, how do I take care of myself? Because if I am always producing and creating and feeling like that's the only way I can have value as a human, I've got to do some deeper work. Got to heal some inner child wounds there too. Got to heal some of those attachment wounds of like, what are some of the core beliefs that we have about who we are and how we matter? I know for me, I've gone through so much of my life creating and accomplishing and doing things that are pretty big deals and probably dream situations for a lot of people. And I've done it and moved on to the next thing immediately without ever stopping to think about like, am I proud of myself? Do I feel good about this? Do I feel happy about this? Would I do it again? How much energy did that take? Was the juice worth the squeeze? I am now doing that, but I'm doing that because it's too late. I'm doing that because I'm so far into autistic burnout. I don't have another choice. And the reality is, I wish I would have done it sooner before I hit this place that feels so much harder to climb out of by having to shut my entire world down. I appreciate y'all following along, and I hope this helps, and I hope it resonates. And if it does, I encourage you to share it, save it, do whatever you need to do. But we can't be in this alone, and we have to stop talking about ourselves as what we produce and what we create and what we're able to offer in terms of quote unquote value to our communities. You are so much more than what you're able to create or what you're able to participate in. And you deserve to feel that way. Hope this was helpful, y'all. See you on the other side.